Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the French Tier 8 Premium Medium tank, the Amx CDC. Now this is a tank that you don't see all too often on the channel, and that's because it's a tank that I'm not too big of a fan of, and that's purely because it has absolutely zero armour and gets punished quite badly if you are too aggressive in it. And I do like to play quite aggressively, so this tank really isn't quite for me. But if you haven't guessed by the title, as always, this is the third Block of Excellence video for the tank, so this is obviously the video for which I gain it. And it's another one of those that I'd call from the vault. And that's because I did this quite a long time ago, and it's been just sitting in the replay folder, and it's like, oh, yeah, I should really get this out, right? And that's what this whole one video a day in December is all about. We're getting all the videos out, we're getting all the content for you guys, all the videos that I should have done ages ago that I haven't, all the new content, all the old content, all that sort of good stuff. And the CDC is, like I say, one that you don't see all too often on the channel. It's one that you don't generally see all too often in the game generally, because people don't really play it, because it's not that good, to be perfectly honest with you. It's got pretty good mobility, but it's made of absolute paper. The gun is a little bit troll, and its reload's decent, but, like, yeah, there's just so much better out there that why would you ever really pick it to play it, you know? And, yeah, you can tell that this game's a little while ago, because this is actually Ghost Town, right? Before they reintroduced it, because we're actually playing against Tier 10s on Ghost Town, which hasn't happened in it's been a wee while, right? And, yeah, the CDC's main strengths are its pretty good speed, and just you may as well make it pretty good with its camo, because then you can't get spotted as easily, really. So in terms of a crew on the CDC, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun. The camouflage perks, like Camouflage Expertise and Muffled Shot, to make the camo on this tank just that little bit better, try and help it not get spotted as much, and therefore be able to keep as many of its hit points as possible, because as soon as people look at this thing, they hit it and pen it every single time. And then all the gun perks, because like I say, this gun is a little bit derpy. It can be really frustrating at times, so just making the gun as accurately as humanly possible. Now, at times I've run rammer, vert stabs, and optics, because like I say, the gun can be a troll and very frustrating, so sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I'm just making the gun better with vert stabs. But when I 3-marked it, I didn't run that, and to be honest, I've changed back to it. It's just whenever the gun really does troll you and feel really frustrating, I will change back to vert stabs, just to feel like I'm not getting annoyed at the gun. That is, I run camo net instead, because the camo net will get you down to like 287 meters of still concealment without the crew in it, and then you can boost that up even more with the crew perks, right? So that's why I do it. And that way you can be a pretty damn stealthy little tank. So we're on this first replay, and we're on Ghost Town, which really isn't the map for the CDC that much. Just like Himmelsdorf, it's a pretty urban battle environment, which means that you are going to be in the forefront of people's minds when they're shooting at you. And like I say, you are made of spit and Kleenex, so yeah, you're going to get done in, essentially, as soon as they look at you. But you have to try and play peekaboo and take as many opportunities to get shots at people as possible. And unfortunately, most of our hit points just got devoured by the IS-7, who popped a shot into the side of our turret, which is not very helpful, Mr. IS-7. So what we're doing is we are reloading some premium rounds, because again, we're going to struggle with the IS-7, to be honest. So we're loading the premium rounds to see if we can get some shots into that guy on generally some of the tier 10s. Because as well as that, obviously being Ghost Town and not the best urban environment, you know, people will be looking at us. It's also tier 10 lobby, which is not helpful. We're just being careful here because, well, anyone could poke around the other corner to shoot us like the IS-7 did, but we catch out the M48 120mm just completely out the blue for him and finish him off. There's a heavy tank coming behind us, and I'm like, oh god, I've got to get going and get around the corner and get safe. Oh my goodness me, we are so lucky. We managed to bounce a shot off our tracks. That doesn't happen very often, ladies and gentlemen. Be very, very happy. We managed to bounce a shot from a 50 TP prototype as well. That is mental that we bounced that shot. That shouldn't have happened. So we are very fortunate to be alive. so we're going to make the most of it, because when you do get that good fortune, you have to make the most of it. We get a nice shot into his side. He's really not paying attention to us. We're trying to get a tracking shot on him, because at this point we are going for the third mark of excellence, so we want to try and maximise our combined output. But again, he's not looking at us, so what we're going to do is try and get around his side and get some shots in. So we get a nice shot into his side. He's still focusing on the 65, who manages to shut him down. There's only one tank left, and we know exactly where he was. He was somewhere around this corner. It is the IS-7, so we're keeping the premium in because that's guaranteed to help us pen him. He's looking the other way, fortunately enough. We slam a shot into the back of his turret, and right now it's like, okay, we want to get the tracking shot on this guy because my team is going to come round. So we get a nice shot into his back end, which tracks him in place. Everyone bounces though, but we keep him tracked there, and again everyone's bouncing. It's like, do I have to, is everyone bouncing? Do I have to do it? We get another shot into the IS-7, and the Rhinoceronte finishes him off for 163. It's like, well, okay then, we finished with 2 kills, 4.2k damage, and 163 assistance with the Confederate and the Sniper Medal, which is a really good game for 1836 base XP for the CDC, on a map that's not good for it, and in a tier 10 lobby. Pretty nice game for it, and yeah, I'd say the CDC is just a tank that I'm not a big fan of, and it was one of those that, it's one of those that I actually 3-marked because I don't like it. And I used to do that quite a lot. I don't do it as much these days because 3-marking's a pain in the ass, and it's just a little bit annoying these days, or frustrating more than anything to do. And that is, I just didn't like the tank, so I was like, you know what? We are going to frustration mark it, and that is 3-mark it, so I don't ever have to play it again. Although I have the CDC black, so I'm going to have to do it again at some point anyway. But yeah, I don't ever have to play it again. So that's the thinking, right? Get rid of it, 3-mark it, don't ever have to play it again, don't have to think about it. There we go. And we're on this game. And again, at this point, I'm not sure what I was on because it was quite a while ago, but I was probably in the 94s. So I'm thinking, well, for the CDC to get any good movement, say to get 0.5% to nearly a whole percent, you were looking at like, well, it was about 0.5% to 0.6, 0.7, something like that, if you did about 4k damage like that last game. So we are aiming to do, combined-wise, about that much damage, really. Like I say, I'm not quite sure what I was at because it was quite a while ago. And we're on the second replay on Fisherman's Bay. And, yeah, look where the team is. The whole team has decided to just do whatever this is. They're all on this one line, so there's no point sitting where I was. Where I usually go is there, so I can get shots at people in the town and stuff like that. There was no point staying there because their team is also seemingly in this corner, randomly, out of the blue. But my team was, no one was there. So there was likelihood is they'd be able to hit the town, they'd be able to flank round and get shots in my ass. They were over-peaking on that ridge, the mediums, and would have quite easily been able to keep pumping shots into me, and I wouldn't have been able to do too much. So I've had to run away to this position over here so I can actually do some damage and not get shot at. And again, like the CDC should be, not the focus of everyone's attention. And we've taken up a nice little sniping position here to get the shots into these guys that are all in this corner. This is just one of those weird battles where the positioning of both teams is really odd. Because our whole team is literally in this corner. That is just really weird. We're just trying to feather a shot on this Dreadnought. Can we quite get the shot into it? We do not get a nice shot into his turret. And so if you get this gun fully aimed, it can be pretty decent with the reload, because the reload is pretty good. It's just one of them that sometimes hits the floor when it really shouldn't, and you really don't need it to. And it just sits there and goes, ha, lol, I'll just miss that shot because, ha. Now, unfortunately, we get spotted there, and it's like, that's really quite not helpful. It's that light tank, that 1357 in front of us, that ends up getting us spotted. But we're still trying to pop some shots. We get a nice one into the Dragon before he gets unspotted. And we're just... we're doing the best we can, essentially, in this scenario. We're just trying to farm as much as we can. And the T-34 is the one that I kind of want to get rid of, because that is the tank that can do some real damage to my team. But he's just in a position that I can't quite find the shot. They're all behind this rock, or dead tanks, so it's really awkward to get shots at. We get a nice shot into the Caro there. You can see we're just struggling to feather out the targets, but I'm watching and I'm like, these guys seem to be on the right as well, and they've pushed it into the centre, which is not good for my team. Unfortunately, we ricochet on the Dragon. The Dragon's got no armour, but it has that type of armour that, while it has no armour, and it says it's got no armour, it just tends to ricochet shells that you sit there going, but why? you know. But fortunately, the Dragon's gone, and the Dragon is a tank that is absolutely deadly to us because it fires that filthy Hesh round at us, and we're a really easy pen for that Hesh. And that's a good point, actually, with the crew skills that I've got on the tank. I don't run Trap Mechanic on the crew because I want to maximise the camo and the gun potential, but it's kind of a risky thing to do with the CDC because that is one thing that the CDC is bad for, and that is getting tracked. Look at the side profile of this tank. It is all tracks. The whole thing is tracks. If it gets hits in the side, it tends to get tracked. So having something like Trap Mechanic is possibly something you want to have on the tank so that if you do get shot in the side and tracked, you're not stuck in a position that's too perilous for too long, essentially. So we're trying to find a shot at this Becky Lynch who's marauding along, and unfortunately we're just missing them. We're not quite adjusting for the shell velocity enough in this tank. So he gets unspotted. It's like, okay, you know what, we need to push. Look where our team is again. We've got some shooters at C1, C2, so what we want to do is push forward and spot these medium tanks. So we managed to spot the Atomic, and we spot the other medium tank. You see, our assistance has just bumped all the way up. We've managed to get 2.4k assistance. We're on 2.4k damage right now, so at the minute, it's 4.8k combined, and it's all spotting. So, at this point, I'm thinking, I've probably got it, you know. I've probably got the third mark. But obviously, naturally, we still want to try and win the game and try and see this game out. So we're going to push over here to see if we can find whatever it was that absolutely... It was a TD, and it absolutely blapped us up. So we're going to see if we can try and go find it, and then before we can spot it for our team, get more assistance and do damage ourselves. So there we go. It gets spotted. It's an ISU 152. Unfortunately, the shot only does track damage on him. We aim the shot up, we finally get the shell in for 219, and then we get spotted. It's like, oh god, there's an Atomic. We bounce, and it's like, no, I'm going to die to him. And in fact, we actually died to the Becky Lynch, which is behind us. But our team carries us through to the victory. We finish with 5.1k combined, and there you go, 95.5. It pushed us up a lot, and we get over the line, the first class in the Confederate, and we get 1742, or 1661 base XP. Sorry, I read the guy above. 1661 base XP. A really decent game for the CDC, but it was enough. It was what we want. It was enough to get us over the line and get that third mark of excellence. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.